If I'd have said this or you'd have said this, Rita, I'm sure Keir Starmer and his police force would take a different view. But of course, I don't believe a word of it. First of all, it's perfectly true that the last Conservative government lost control of the borders. Absolutely true. It's also true, though, that Keir Starmer has lost control of the borders. Almost 1,000 people came in a couple of days ago, in one day alone, on the illegal crossings across the Channel, on boats organized by criminal gangs. When he says that it's not a right to land in Britain and just stay, he's right. It's just something anyone can do, however. It's just something that nobody in his government or his border force are doing anything.
Keir Starmer, the myth himself, is basically lukewarm tea with no sugar, no milk, served in a chipped mug proudly labelled centrism. And if charisma were illegal, he'd be out on bail for total innocence. Douglas Murray didn't come to politely sip tea. He arrived to blast Starmer's political beige wallpaper into a Jackson Pollock of sarcasm and harsh reality checks, all unfolding live on TV. And there was Starmer, frozen like a man who just realised he'd brought a spreadsheet to a flamethrower fight.
Actual desire to tar anyone who has, as I say, not got a voice and is wanting to make their voice heard as a violent far-right neo-Nazi seems to me to be a big error by Keir Starmer and others. Because, if you can't say, we recognize your deep, deep concerns about some things that have happened, including mass stabbings, terrorism, and much more. We understand your deep, deep concerns, and we are going to try to get onto this and on top of this. But there is no excuse to turn out on the streets and be violent against your Muslim brothers and sisters and neighbors or anyone else. If they can't say that, they just cannot say it. They just have to go to the secondary thing.
Let's start with the basics. Starmer's so-called grand political strategy is pure cosplay. He rises each morning, looks in the mirror, and wonders, how can I outbore myself today? It's as if he's auditioning for the part of generic British man in a BBC drama no one actually wanted, where the ultimate plot twist is nothing more than tepid disapproval. His vision of leadership is to sit squarely in the uninspiring middle, never too left, never too right, never anything at all, just aggressively bland, delivering emotional resonance with the subtlety of soggy mashed potatoes left out in the rain.
While we've got Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, well, he's in danger of being arrested with some of the commentary he's been tweeting. Douglas, extraordinary stuff. He seems to be morphing into Donald Trump if his work on X is to be believed. In the past couple of weeks, he's posted about coming for illegal immigrants. He said he'll put Britain first and end the reliance to cheap overseas labour that's taking jobs from Brits. He posted, if you want to live in the UK, you should speak English. That's common sense. Bravo. He also said settlement in the UK is a privilege. That has to be earned. It's not a right. And he also said this about strong borders, that the Tories lost control of our borders and let net migration soar to record levels, undercutting hardworking Brits. I won't stand for it, Douglas.
Douglas Murray, by contrast, doesn't do bland. He stormed in wielding a flamethrower of facts, a scalpel of sarcasm, and a doctorate in showing zero patience for nonsense. And Starmer barely had a moment to blink before being transformed into a political ghost, drifting through the studio like the lingering spirit of missed opportunities, empty sound bites, and unpopular budget cuts everyone would rather forget but still can't escape.
The actual desire to tar anyone who has, as I say, not got a voice and is wanting to make their voice heard as a violent far-right neo-Nazi seems to me to be a big error by Keir.
Starmer's bid to cast himself as Britain's saviour would be almost cute if it weren't so painfully comic. It's like watching someone try to patch a gaping hole in the Titanic with a tea towel. You can tell he sort of means well, but it's impossible to ignore that the disaster isn't just inevitable. It's likely already unfolding. His so-called grand master plan appears to be nothing more than being marginally less disappointing than the Tories. which reads less like a vision for the future and more like a shrug masquerading as leadership. A bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that actually plays out.
Douglas, it's happened again. Keir Starmer is again tweeting like he's Donald Trump, an angry Donald Trump. He posted, "You have every right to be angry about small boat crossings. I'm angry too." And he's promised all sorts of action there. But Douglas, the number of people claiming asylum in the UK in the past year, in 2024, was the highest since records began. They're not really doing much to solve this issue.
Under Starmer, the Labour Party has transformed from a sometimes overly enthusiastic political force into something that feels more like a risk management committee at a local council. Riveting, obviously. He's the type of leader who would confront a national crisis by convening a subcommittee, scheduling endless consultations, and then issuing a strongly worded memo promptly ignored by everyone, including himself. And when it comes to ignoring issues, Starmer's skill is practically Olympic. An immigration crisis becomes, let's review it. Rising inflation is softened to we're exploring options. And public sector strikes are met with a solemn "we respect the process." In other words, he's doing the political equivalent of hiding under a duvet with noise-cancelling headphones, hoping reality eventually loses interest and wanders off.
What do you offer?
Revenge with knives. We don't give a damn anymore.
Who dies first?
Keir Starmer.
Douglas Murray wasn't having any of it. He tore into the soggy platitudes, the focus group crafted leadership nonsense, and the sheer gall of Starmer pretending to be a man with a plan when the only thing he's ever successfully led is a committee on how not to offend anyone, ever, a mission that, spoiler alert, spectacularly failed because everyone's still offended and now thoroughly bored as well. And let's not overlook Starmer's uncanny talent for saying absolutely nothing in 500 words or more. The man could headline a TED Talk called The Art of Verbal Wallpaper and still earn a standing ovation from centrists who find decisive action a touch intimidating. He'll open a sentence with "let me be clear," only to fill the air with so much ambiguity that you'd need a compass, a Sherpa, and a search party just to track down the point.
An anomaly like that. Maybe Farage will blow it up. I mean, the Conservatives have blown themselves up. It'll be very hard to know what remains of them after the election. But it's a bizarre situation historically to end up in. The only country going to the left, and with real ignoramuses at the top. I can never get over the fact that David Lammy seems to believe that a man can grow a cervix if he takes the right medication.
And a man who was campaigning for us to rejoin the EU at one point. Now there's the irony there, isn't
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the irony of a Labour government which is almost certainly going to try to drag us back into the common market or something, some kind of back door or side door. The irony of that.
Douglas, ever the surgeon, peeled back the curtain to show that Starmer's politics aren't driven by convictions, but by a relentless fear of litigation. He operates like a risk analyst at an insurance firm, meticulous, calculated, and utterly soul-free. He isn't trying to lead a movement, he's trying to dodge headlines unless they celebrate his latest non-committal policy tweak. And watching those tweaks unfold is like observing a weather vane in a hurricane. He'll pledge one thing, only to backtrack months later as if it never happened. Tuition fees? Scrap them until he notices students don't vote enthusiastically enough. Nationalisation? Absolutely. Until he realises corporate donations outweigh commuter votes. His memory is so conveniently selective, it might as well be a Netflix algorithm permanently stuck on grey suit politician mode.
Police force would take a different view. But of course, I don't believe a word of it. First of all, it's perfectly true that the last Conservative government lost control of the borders. Absolutely true. It's also true, though, that Keir Starmer has lost control.
Douglas practically had a bingo card of Starmer's reversals and contradictions, and watching it all unfold was like a roast fused with a courtroom drama, exhibit after exhibit of promises quietly archived under just kidding. Starmer's campaign slogans could just as easily be "It depends," "We're looking into it," and "Things have changed." The political equivalent of saying, "It's not you, it's me," while inching backward toward the exit.
I mean, Keir Starmer says, in a tweet, "I'm angry," in order to try to placate the actual, real anger of the British public, who just, whether it's Conservative or Labour, the migration just keeps going up and up endlessly. So that just illegal boat crossings across the channel in a single day again the other day were about 1,100 people. More than 1,000 people arriving illegally in a day. I mean, what's the point of having laws? What's the point of even pretending you have borders, let alone pretending that you're angry when they're being infringed, when they're being infringed every...
Then there's the way Starmer handles his own party, treating it like a crime scene he's frantically trying to cover up. Remember when Labour actually stood for, Labour? Nowadays, it's all about keeping a safe distance from anything that might resemble a principle. Workers' rights get a half-hearted nod followed by silence. Union leaders are greeted with the enthusiasm of spotting an X in the supermarket, and party members with left-wing ideas are purged faster than bad reviews on a politician's Wikipedia page. Douglas didn't merely point this out, he deep-fried it and served it with a side of "This is why no one trusts politicians." Starmer treats grassroots activists like a teenager treats their parents, embarrassing relics of the past who just don't get it. And by it we mean his grand strategy to win elections by pretending the Labour Party is basically the Conservative Party, just with slightly different fonts.
In Britain, it's not just the two-tier policing system that Keir Starmer has overseen since coming into office. It's the fact that the police, local councillors, local councils, MPs, and others have all overseen this. And they've all overseen this, and it required...
And speaking of elections, Starmer's approach to campaigning appears to be simply turning up, smiling awkwardly, mumbling something beige, and leaving before anyone can ask a real question. He drifts through constituencies like a man avoiding eye contact with an ex at a wedding, polite, brief, and profoundly uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Douglas Murray delivered his critique with the intensity of a Shakespearean monologue fueled by flamethrower energy. He didn't just challenge Starmer's competence, he held up a mirror and demanded, "Who even are you?" Because let's face it, no one really knows. Is he left, right, centre, or merely a hologram? An elaborate social experiment testing how long someone can lead a major party without ever making a definitive statement. The only thing we know for certain.
Keir Starmer has suddenly discovered the startling news that men have a penis and women have a vagina. It is a departure from what he has said in the recent past. Indeed, he is performing quite a few backflips in this area. Let's have a look.
A woman can have a penis.
Look, I'm not... I don't think we can conduct this debate with,
Trans rights are human rights, and I support the right to self-identification. I think we need to respect the right to self-identify, and we're committed to updating the GRA to introduce self-declaration for trans people.
We don't think that self-identification is the right way forward.
Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix?
Well, it is something that shouldn't be said. It is not right.
Starmer could be steering a full-blown revolution and still somehow make it feel like an HR meeting on printer etiquette. He's the kind of leader who would politely ask the status quo to inch slightly left, but only if everyone consents, no one raises their voice, and meticulous minutes are taken. A man so allergic to risk he probably inquires whether his cappuccino foam has been tested for controversy. His entire political strategy boils down to let's never upset anyone, which is delightful for a cat-calf but utterly inadequate for running a country. At a time when people crave authenticity, Starmer's idea of relatability is informing us he once ate a sandwich, almost certainly with a knife and fork, while reviewing a spreadsheet, achieving the rare feat of offending no one while inspiring even fewer. Honestly, You could replace him with a moderately intelligent screensaver, and the polling figures would remain unchanged.